Hey kids, it's Papa. Are you ready to explore the Bible? All right. Well, take a look in 1 Samuel chapter 16. 1 Samuel chapter 16. Now remember, Saul had sinned and God had said, you know what? I'm going to take the kingdom from you and give it to a better man, a man of my own choosing, a man after my own heart. And Saul was like, oh no, this is terrible. Saul didn't really care about the future. He just wanted everyone to honor him right now. And so Samuel felt really badly because Samuel loved Saul, and so Samuel went back to his place and he wept and he sorrowed about it. Well, notice in verse 1, God speaks to Samuel. And in chapter 16, he says, And the Lord said unto Samuel, How long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from being king over Israel, reigning over Israel? Fill now thine horn of oil and go, and I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. Okay, Jesse was a Bethlehemite. Now, what else do we know about Bethlehem? Okay, yeah, Bethlehem was where Jesus was born. Why? Because Jesus was the son of David. He was he was of the line of David, and as such, Bethlehem was his hometown. And so Samuel is being sent to Bethlehem, and so there in Bethlehem, um, he goes and he calls everybody to a feast and a sacrifice, and everybody's a little bit fearful. Notice take a look at verse 4. And he came to Bethlehem, and the elders of the town trembled at his coming and said, Comest thou peaceably? And he said, Peaceably am I come to sacrifice unto the Lord. Okay, and so he said, and I have specifically invited Jesse and his sons. And so Jesse came and brought his sons. Verse 6, notice it says, And it came to pass that when they were come, that he looked on Eliab. Now Eliab was the oldest son of Jesse. And he says, Surely the Lord's anointed is before him. And so, because Eliab was tall and strong and handsome and all of the things that a king should be. But notice what it says. But the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance. Okay, verse 7. What does a countenance mean? A countenance means his face, his look, his bearing, the way he holds himself. Okay, look not on his countenance, nor on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for the Lord looketh on the outward appearance. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh upon the heart. Okay? We can't look on the heart. We can't see a person's heart. We can sense it a little bit, but we can't really see it. But God can see it. Now think about that. We need to see people as God sees them, but we can't see it, their hearts. We have to love them until we get to know them. Okay, and that's what God wants us to do. Man looks on the outside, but God looks on the heart. Okay, you might want to remember that. So then Jesse called Abinadab. Who's Abinadab? Well, he was the next son. And wow, he was handsome and good looking too. But God said to Samuel, No, not him. And so he went and looked at all 6 of Samuel's sons, and God rejected all of them. And finally Samuel said, Well, don't you have any other sons? And Jesse said, Well, I've got one more. I mean, he's kind of young and the runt of the litter, and he's out watching the sheep, and somebody's got to watch the sheep. And so, I really didn't ask him to come. And Jesse said, Well, you better call him, because we're not going to eat until he comes. and so a servant ran and got David and said, David, go, I'll stay here with the sheep. You go, because your dad needs you, and you'd better hurry, because they're not going to eat until you get there. And so he ran like the wind. And when Samuel saw David, God said, This is the one. anoint him king. And you think, well, why didn't he choose Eliab or Abinadab? Because, there are times when people are big and strong and handsome and they know it. Because of that, they're kind of proud. But David was the caboose. He was the last of the litter. He was the youngest son, and nobody really looked up to him or respected him. He basically had no pride. And you know what? That's what made him a good king. And you and I need to be very careful because God hates pride. We need to be very careful because we want to say, oh, I'm good. I'm the best. And that's what the world is looking for. They want handsome and good looking and popular and all of these things. But God doesn't care about those things. God wants us to be humble before him. And so I challenge you, you know what? Don't be like Abinadab. Don't be like Eliab. Be like David. Be humble. There's times when you just need to be quiet, smile, listen to other people. Let them brag, let them boast. Just, you know what? Be humble. And God will bless you for that. Okay. Did you get all that? Good. All right. Hey, love you guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.